Questions. Today on the TNG webcast, we're going to answer your questions. Hi, Alex McFarland. I'm always so glad to hear from everybody, and thanks for watching. And we've been doing these webcasts, and people have been forwarding them and publicly liking them and sharing, and we really appreciate that. And by the way, when you do share these, you are automatically entered to win our weekly Friday book giveaway. We appreciate that. I'll circle back to that in a moment. But I do want to get to some questions. And, you can message us on Facebook and email me, alex@alexmcfarland.com. Here's a question somebody sends in. By the way, this is Christy. Thanks for emailing, Christy. When the angels pour out the bowl judgments in the book of Revelation, it says there was silence in heaven for 1 hour, and then the shout in the temple, "It is finished." Christy says, I understand the bowl judgments represent final judgments of God. Let me comment on this. And by the way, July 2020, I am at the Cove, the Billy Graham Training Center, to do a study on Daniel and Revelation. And even if you can't attend at thecove.org, you can probably get the videos of that. And I love to talk about Bible prophecy. And part of the book of Revelation, from chapters 6 to 16, there are a series of judgments on the world. Now, what Revelation talks about are the final judgment of God on the evil world systems that have spent centuries actually leading humanity away from God. Babylon is not only a city, but this great big world system that is ultimately led by the Antichrist. And they gather at Armageddon to ultimately try to kill God. I mean, think about it. And I do, for the record, I believe these things are literally true. They will happen. 2 billion human soldiers will gather on the plains of Megiddo to finally kill off God. But God, with a sigh, with the breath of his nostrils, vanquishes the armies of the Antichrist. But there are seals, there are trumpets, and there are bowls. Now, 7 seals on a scroll, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are opened. When the 7th seal is opened, then comes 7 trumpets. And when the 7th trumpet sounds, then comes 7 bowls, or sometimes it's called a vial. But these are judgments that are poured out on planet Earth. Now, Christy asked the question, can these people be saved? They could, but they won't. You see, here's the thing. The Bible promises in Romans 10:13, whoever calls on the name of the Lord will be saved, can be forgiven of sins. Could they be saved? I believe they could, but they don't, because they reject God. And the Bible says that even as God's judgment is poured out, it's like Pharaoh in the Old Testament. Rather than turning to God, his heart was harder, and they rebel against God. They curse, they blaspheme. Folks, Bible prophecy is a subject that's worth studying. And we love to speak on Bible prophecy because it may very well be that we are near the end times. Christy, thanks for reading, and thanks for emailing us at Truth for a New Generation about that. Here's another question that somebody asks. This is Nancy, who asks, why don't more preachers preach about the current events? She says, for example, homosexuality, LGBT, blurring of gender, violence against the police, protests that are not protests. Why don't pastors speak about these issues? Let me say this, and I love pastors, and I've myself have pastored 2 pretty significant churches, but pastors are fearful very often. Now listen to this, Nancy. I was on a phone call with one of the #1 sociologists who studies culture. 74% of parishioners, they want their pastors, clergy, priests to speak about moral and social issues from a biblical perspective. 74% want their pastors to speak about these things, but only about 12% do. So pastors, don't be afraid to lay the cards on the table and give what thus saith the Lord, because 3 out of 4 of your parishioners want you to speak about those things. And then finally, Kyle says, what are some top books you recommend? Oh my goodness. John Wesley, the founder of the Methodist Church, he said, those who read, lead. So I love to recommend good books. I'll just recommend one out of thousands that I could recommend. Morning and Evening Devotions by Charles Spurgeon. Morning and Evening Devotions. It's 100 years old, but it is awesome. Check it out. Build yourself a good library. I would ask you to like and share these things. Hey, do us a favor if you would. Our YouTube channel, which is Truth for a New Generation. Facebook, Rev Alex McFarland. Please share publicly, and you're automatically entered to win our weekly book giveaway. At this point, we're giving away my Proverbs book, 31 chapters, God's Book of Wisdom. I want you to get this. So thanks for watching. It really does mean the world to us. Share, and then, as I always say, please pray for America.